Mayor, the meeting is now being recorded.
Thank you so much, Daisy. All right, good evening and welcome everyone to the January 27th, 2025, 6 p.m. regular joint meeting of the Bell Garden City Council and Successor Agency to the Community Development Commission. The meeting will now come to order at 6:09 p.m. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting live online through the city's website as noted on the agenda. If any member of the council should have a conflict of interest, please announce any item you are recusing yourself from due to a conflict of interest prior to the item being heard. Tonight's invocation will be given by Minister Daniel Anguano, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Girl Scouts Troops 2543.
Thank you, Mayor and Council members. Let us bow our heads as we come before God. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for giving us this opportunity to be here in this night. We acknowledge you as our highest authority. It has pleased you to place every one of our leaders in this room, Father. And we just come before you to ask you for them, Lord, that you may give them guidance, that you may give them your knowledge and of your wisdom. Lord Jesus, as they administer this city and for all the work that they do, God, we thank you. We thank you for their families. We pray for them that you may keep them. We pray for all of our city staff, for the police chief, and the fire department, and all those who serve to protect us. We ask that you send your angels to encamp around them and bring them safe homely every day. We ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Please stand. Face the flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may now be seated.
Thank you for that. City Clerk, please call roll the members of the City Council and Successor Agency.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the Council Successor Agency, Barcena. Present. Councilwoman Guillen.
Present.
Councilwoman Sanchez.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem de la Rosa.
Present.
And Mayor Chavez.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. We will now move on to presentations. City Manager, please introduce the presentations.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Chavez. The first certificate of recognition we have is for Eva's Cookery. Doesn't look like Eva's was able to make it as of now, so Mayor, if we maybe hold it till the next two items, and then if they don't show up, we'll bring it back at the next meeting.
Yeah, that works. Thank you for that.
Thank you. The second certificate of recognition we have is to recognize Support and Feed. Mayor, before you read the recognition, if I could turn over to our Recreation Community Services Department Head, Liz Nava, to say a few words before we have Support and Feed come up. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. O'Kelly. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm very thrilled to have a couple people here from Support and Feed this evening. We have the founder, Maggie Baird, and we have the eco-educator, excuse me, Evelyn Estrada. And as you know, we've partnered with Support and Feed to provide the city residents with a free farmers market initiative, and we've had 2 farmers markets so far, and they have been astounding. It's such an amazing response to our community. The food is going within 2 hours. I just spoke with the ladies, and they let me know that this last one, it was 2 hours and the food was already gone. And so we're really thrilled and so grateful to have them here providing this service to our very deserving residents. And I'm looking forward to see how this grows. It's going to be wonderful. So I don't know if council's going to speak first, but I'd like to invite up Maggie and Evelyn.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Liz. We are so honored. We love being a part of this beautiful community. We've been here for quite a while, supporting the work at the Boys and Girls Club, delivering food to the community for 4.5 years at this point, and we're just so excited that we've been able to extend this opportunity to include this free farmers market. We're so grateful to the Boys and Girls Club for helping us be able to store our equipment and Food Forward for being able to support us with produce and all of our amazing volunteers. But we're just really grateful for you in the city. We love this community, and we appreciate being able to bring nourishing, climate-friendly, healthy food to everyone here. So thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, okay.
Thank you so much for that. I'd like to open it up for my colleagues to share some comments.
Well, just thank you for coming into our community, for, providing this food for our residents, and we look forward to continue this partnership.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to hear that the community is using this resource, to hear that the food was gone into hours. That just shows the need that we have here. So thank you for providing that to our community.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for your impacts that you've done in the community, over the past several years. It really shows, and, we're looking forward to continue this, collaboration, in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for everything that you do.
Yeah, as briefly for my comments, I just want to say that at the last meeting we recognized Food Forward, and I think it's an amazing bridge to be able to build the relationship that we had with Food Forward to support and feed. And the brief times that I've done the walkthroughs and been at the facility, it's just been incredible work. I know I think in the last meeting, I think Councilmember Barcena might have mentioned that there was this specific product that was being given out that's pretty unique. I don't know, what was it called?
I don't know the name of it, but it's this block of fudge. and it's amazing. Like,
I'll have to ask about that.
Block of fudge.
Block of fudge.
There it is.
The proper title. I think we should market that. It's really funny.
There it is. There it is. So I'm just astoundingly grateful to see this partnership. Thank you to everybody in our director, Recreation and Community Services, for all the work, and let's continue building it, right? Let's continue building it, and I would say encourage those relationships with the other cities around us as well, right? Bell Gardens being the first, but our communities nearby, our neighbors, similar demographics, and anything we can do to help build that, we're here as well.
Thank
So,
you. We'd love
thank
to.
you. Absolutely. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and read the certificate of recognition officially. On behalf of the City of Bell Gardens, honoring Support and Feed, in appreciation of your community service and efforts to mitigation, climate change, and increasing food security by driving global demand, acceptance, and accessibility of plant-based food. Through your efforts, the Bell Gardens community has benefited from the plant-based food you provide to the Free Farmers Market Initiative, empowering individuals to make sustainable dietary choices and highlight the link between food equity, which disproportionately affects low-income and historically marginalized communities, personal wellness, and climate action. We wish you many years of continued commitment to the communities you serve. Signed, Jorge Chavez, Mayor of the Bell Gardens City Council. I'm with the Bell Gardens City Council this January 27th, 2025. Thank you so much. Before we go on and take the picture, I'll go ahead and also like to call up Hennessy's from the Assemblywoman Blanca Pacheco's office, who also has a certificate to present as well. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Good evening, buenas noches, buenas tardes. My name is Genesis Pompa. I'm a field representative for the Office of Assemblywoman, who probably represents District 64, which is Bell Gardens. And unfortunately, the Assemblywoman is in the Capitol right now, but she would have loved to come and present this certificate. And on her words, she states, "On behalf of the California State Assembly, I join the City of Bell Gardens in recognizing you for your generosity and support of the Bell Gardens Free Farmers Market Initiative. Your donation and distribution of free plant-based meals have made a positive impact on the health and well-being of our community." Congratulations. And how the entire council said, we are excited to see future collaborations with not only Bell Gardens, with other cities around Southeast LA, with Sela, and the state and the Assemblywoman would love to see what future collaborations that looks like. And congratulations and best success. Is it okay if I grab a picture with you guys?
We're gonna take a picture with all of them. Yeah. So no, at this point, we could all just come to the front. I'd also like to mention that we also received recognitions from Congressman Robert Garcia's office and then State Senator Lina Gonzalez's office. All right, thank you for that. City Manager, next presentation.
Yes, thanks again, Mayor Chavez. This item is the Gateway Cities Council of Government Energy Action Award for the City of Bell Gardens. I'll turn it over to our city planner, Stephen Jones, to introduce, and also make note that we have the Executive Director, Hector De La Torre, of the Gateway COG, here to say a few words as well. So take it away, Stephen. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honorable council members. The Gateway Cities Council of Governments recently recognized Bell Gardens with a Gold Level Energy Action Award through the Southern California Regional Energy Network, also SoCalREN, or AKA SoCalREN. The award was designed to highlight cities that demonstrate a commitment to improving energy efficiency and sustainability within the community. And of the 27 Gateway cities, Bell Gardens received gold. I think it's one of a few cities that did that, for updates to the local infrastructure that resulted in energy cost reductions to the city and improved production efficiency. A couple of the projects specifically that were submitted for consideration were the ordinance number 950 adopted October 2024, which streamlined electrical vehicle charging stations. There was also several meetings that the staff participated in. Public Works Director provided a presentation regarding 2 sustainability projects, which included LED lighting and HVAC upgrades, which again reduced electric bills and produced energy efficiency. So with that, I will say that we do have Hector De La Torre here to present a video and the award. Thank you.
All right. Good evening. Thank you for having me back again, and congratulations. Do I do this or? Okay. Well, while we're waiting, this is the award. It's different from last year. It's heavier than last year, but it's very cool. Okay, is that it? Okay, I'll finish after. Hi, I'm Hector De La Torre, and I'm the Executive Director of the Gateway Cities Council of Governments. It is my pleasure to recognize the 23 cities out of 27 that have received the 2024 Gateway Cities Energy Action Awards. These awards recognize efforts to make each city more energy efficient and sustainable. The record high 23 gateway cities have achieved bronze, silver, and gold levels through their year-long efforts, including one city that has reached the first ever Platinum Gateway Cities Energy Action Award. Let's recognize those cities now. Not you. Not you either.
The City of Artesia installed a new cool roof at the Albert O'Little Community Center.
The City of Bell Gardens upgraded its lightings at Ford Park to LEDs.
The City of Maywood upgraded their fleet to electric trucks.
The City of Norwalk recently replaced an older aged transformer with the Power Smiths. This low voltage design meets our common goal of minimizing energy waste.
The City of Signal Hill hosted a centennial street tree planting event at Reservoir Park, where the community came out and planted 14 street trees.
The City of Whittier replaced 5 water heaters with energy-efficient heat pumps. Projects like this align with the City of Whittier's sustainability goals and offer cost savings to the residents.
And now I'm happy to recognize Pico Rivera as the first city to achieve the Platinum Award by completing the highest level of activities to save money and increase the city's energy efficiency and sustainability. Congratulations, Pico Rivera.
The City of Pico Rivera pursued energy efficiency conservation block grant funds from the U.S. Department of Energy to develop its first ever climate action and adaptation plan, which will allow the city to implement new programs, projects, and initiatives that will reduce greenhouse gas emissions for our community.
Pico Rivera also helps their residents become more energy efficient by providing solar power, Tesla battery backup, and long-term energy savings with no upfront costs.
Congratulations to Pico Rivera and to all of the recipients of the 2024 Gateway Cities Energy Action Awards. So, congratulations, you're one of 6. I can tell you that we are very proud of the growth of this program. We just started it in 2021. And in the time since then, all 26 eligible cities, Vernon is not because they have their own municipal utility, but the other 26 cities and gateway cities are part of this now. 23 of the 26 won awards this time, mostly bronze. There were 12, so last year we had 2 silver. This year we have 12. So big jump there. Last year I think we had 7 or 8 gold, so we're about the same. We're just very proud of the growth, and certainly for Bell Gardens to achieve that level. You all have done some great programs and projects. That you heard what some of the other cities are doing. Maybe you can do some of that stuff too if you're interested. And then, as was said, the first platinum ever. So you have still one more step if you want to jump at that. But most importantly, I think it's twofold. One is, as many people said, energy efficiency means you pay less on your bills. And that's a good thing with some investments that are subsidized that have the incentives that we are able to procure for you. And then secondly, it cleans up the pollution. As we well know, the 710 is right over there. These communities are heavily polluted. We have 4 of the 19 AB 617 communities in the Gateway Cities COG statewide. No other area has more than 2. So we need to do both at the same time, right? Be more efficient, save energy, save on the cost, but also reduce our emissions. That's what this is all about, and we're really, really proud of the program and the participation of cities like yours. I will put in a plug for something that's about to happen, not for you, but for the residents. Empower Gateway, which is a program that Gateway Cities launched in the fall. We had a pilot project in one of the cities, but the next round is the full rollout, and it includes Bell Gardens. And so we are going to make available with workshops subsidies for people, residents, to buy used EVs. And we're talking about $8,000 on getting a used EV. We do the paperwork with the person that's interested, get them approved, and then help them to find the car that they want that's within their price range. Significant savings. And so that program, again, was rolled out in one city. I'm not going to name them. But they rolled out in late October, and within 6 weeks had 62 approved applications. That's a lot of people getting into an EV in our communities for all the reasons I cited. It's cheaper. It's going to reduce the pollution in our area. So you can expect, and we'll work with your staff to promote it, you can expect this rolling out end of February or sometime in March is when it'll roll out here. And all the neighboring cities along the 710 corridor. So I'm very excited about that because, again, we're bringing something to the community. It isn't just for the city itself. We'll continue our commitment to you, but we also want the residents to be part of this revolution that's happening out there, this green revolution for our residents. Happy to answer any questions.
Hector, before you go forward, this is Gus Romo, your Deputy City Manager and Community Development Director. I want to thank Hector for all the support he's given us throughout these years and his staff at the COG. I'd also like to say that I'm very proud of our staff in community development and in public works. This is the 3rd year in a row that the City of Bell Gardens has attained gold status with all the programs that we put together. Thank you to our city manager and our executive team. So I just wanted to put that out there and say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Gus. And thank you, Hector, for being here. Before I begin my comments, I wanted to open it up for council members' comments as well.
Like mentioned, I know that we've been in gold for the past 3 years, but the goal is definitely to get platinum. So I'm glad to hear we have a new category to achieve for. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. De La Torre, and huge appreciation to our departments for, taking Bell Gardens to the next level. And I see Bell Gardens soon enough of achieving the platinum level. So thank you so much.
Likewise, I would like to express my gratitude. These initiatives serve as incentives for us as council to keep pushing green. So thank you. And thank you to our staff as well.
Thank you, Mr. De La Torre, for being here and providing us with this presentation. And definitely I'm up for that challenge going after the platinum. So, and I'm assuming a lot of these projects, they're funded by usually grants for the most part. Yeah, so that's even better. Thank you.
Absolutely. A lot of this stuff is free to you or significantly reduced cost. We get resources from the county, from Edison, from the gas company, and all of that rolls into this. It's an incentive program, again, designed to reduce consumption, to make our systems all continue to function. As we can tell, like on a hot summer day in the afternoon when there's threats of blackouts, this kind of project reduces the pressure on that.
Just again, thank you, Hector, for being here. Thank you for presenting us this award. I was telling staff last year we had a tour of the aquatic center that we're building. Right, it's a well over $30 million project, and I'm just so happy the leadership that we have in our community. Everybody on the staff's team, obviously the city manager for all the incredible work that's being done, and it's goals like these, right? Clearly, we have a consensus when trying to achieve platinum, and I'm all in. We have to get platinum, and I'm excited because I take so much pride being in BG. I'm all about Southeast Los Angeles and Sela, but if there's a way we can put Bell Gardens on top of that list, I'm always going to push for that. So I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to it. You might as well just start writing it right now. Bell Gardens is going to be platinum next year. I'm calling it. So.
And it's a much bigger trophy.
There it is. Thank you again, Hector. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I want to be clear, there was no platinum when we started this. It was just the three.
Diamond? We called dibs on
maybe
that.
we'll have to keep going, but there was none. But because Pico Rivera did so much more than everybody else, we had to take it up a notch. And so, I'm looking forward to coming back next year with a bigger, heavier one than this.
Exciting. One of the things we're working on is the climate action plan.
Yeah.
I know Stephen and we're working with Blue Strike Environmental, I think, so that's another big, huge project, and we're doing community stakeholder engagement, and we have, I saw that's one of the things that Pico Rivera did in the first portion, aside from the partnerships with the EV companies like Tesla and other energy sources. So, right away we can really start knocking that one down.
There are so many things that you can do in this space, and particularly when it's subsidized, that can really make a difference for you. And again, if it saves you money on top of everything else, that's a huge win.
I think the chief said that he wants to have bikes for the entire police department. I think that will help us.
E-bikes?
I know that there's a I think it's South Pasadena that has a whole Tesla fleet, right?
South Pasadena,
South
yes.
Pasadena has a Tesla
Their whole fleet is Teslas.
The whole fleet is Teslas. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
No Teslas here, though.
Yes.
No.
What was that?
Not Teslas here, though.
I am not promoting any specific brand, just EV.
Thank you again, Hector. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go. Wait, before you leave, Hector, let's go ahead and take a picture with the award. All right, everybody. Thank you for that. We will now move on to public participation for agenda items not listed on the agenda. Public participation is now open. City Clerk, please announce the instructions for public participation.
Thank you, Mayor. The members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items not listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments to the members of the City Council and Successor Agency. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, subject to an overall 30-minute period. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom may make a request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We will first hear from speakers that are in person. We did not receive any written communications.
Thank you for that. Speaker BC.
All right, here we are. All the feel-good, happy talk, but I'm always proud and happy to bring diversity to the conversation. I know you're all big on the word diversity, right? Equity and inclusive, but I'm here for that reason. And I don't know where to begin on these issues. I mean, you had support and feed, food forward. What it's telling you is that your policies that you have developed and enacted, and also countywide and statewide, is not enabling the residents or the taxpayers to be able to afford their own food. They're having to come to a food bank at a farmer's market, and you're acting like it's a good thing. They should be trying to work themselves out of business. But you don't see it that way. You want to keep enabling them and keep telling them how demographics are holding us back because we're not represented well enough. Well, why not? What is holding them back? What's wrong with them? Can't they feed themselves? Well, not with your policies. Higher taxation, higher regulations on businesses, and yet all you do is attack these businesses with regulations and taxes. The Green New Scam, that's all it has been. It's been a Green New Deal has been nothing but a scam. They don't produce anything. You have to get taxpayer money for grants to pay for all the pie-in-the-sky garbage that you propose. I mean, look at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and you Democrats went along with all of it. They spent $7.5 billion and produced 7 EV charging stations in 2 years. Now, man, that is efficiency at its height. But nobody here can even produce anything because you're the government. You don't produce anything. All you have to do is take away from the taxpayer. Change direction. Things are changing in this country. The Green New Deal scams are over. Your EV scams are over. It's about fossil fuels, no matter what they tell you at the colleges you go to or the schools you were being brought up in. There's a new chief in town, and you need to get on board, because the sooner the better. You're failing. The state is failing. We've seen that with the governor and the mayor of LA. Complete and total failures with the fire protection. Change course.
If there's no objection by the members of City Council, Successor Agency, I will close public participation for non-agenda items. City Clerk, please announce instructions for public participation on items listed on the agenda.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through Zoom may make a request or may make a comment by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We will begin to hear from members of the public that are physically present in the council chamber, and we did not receive any written communication.
I'd like to call up BC.
As in the words of Pauly Shore, I'm back. Okay, 10.2, the assessment of recent citywide crime statistics. Now, I'd like to be able to say we can trust law enforcement as far as reporting crimes, and even the agencies that you may hire to keep your data. Can we trust the crime statistics? Can we trust the FBI? Apparently, we can't until things are cleaned up in those departments. Maybe they won't even be around. Maybe they'll be dismantled. They'll come up with something new. But hopefully, the city of Bell Gardens, with the chief and the rank and file officers, you can go ahead and have trustworthy people report criminal activity legitimately. Unlike the previous LA County District Attorney we've had, George Gascon. I mean, what a disaster that guy was. But you all supported him. Every one of you supported him. You thought it was a big social justice endeavor. You were going to look at crime a little differently. Well, you're going to have an opportunity coming up here shortly, and we'll move in a different direction as far as immigration enforcement, which crime is a part of that. And I'm going to encourage the mayor and the city manager to direct the chief of police to cooperate with President Trump's mass deportation program called Secure Communities, and it's or known as 287G. And we can go ahead and keep our residents really safe, not just by lip service, because most of you Democrats don't care whether your citizens are safe or not. We know our assembly member doesn't care. We know our congressman over in Long Beach, he doesn't care. But there's a new sheriff in town, and we need the cooperation to get these illegal aliens that are raping people, selling drugs, all kinds of things. But we can't have council members and mayors and city managers and police chiefs sitting there saying, oh, it's terrible, they're just rounding people up and all this. No, they're not. That's not happening at all. These are targeted people they already know about, and we have 1.5 million of them to go. So you all need to stand up and say, I support President Trump and mass deportations of illegal aliens. Do that, and people can start trusting you again.
If there's no objection by the members of the City Council, I will close public participation. City Manager, please give your report.
Thank you, Mayor Chavez. On January 15th, we had our monthly workshop for tenants at 4 p.m. here at City Hall. On Friday, January 17th, we had the weekly art and yard sale, along with the free farmers market that was presented by the Support and Feed group. As you heard, that was a success. On Saturday, January 18th, the County of LA and Sanitation District had a free household hazardous and electronic waste drive-through collection event at Ford Park. On Monday, January 20th, City Hall and other city offices were closed in remembrance of Martin Luther King Day. As always, want to thank the employees in Public Works, Police Department, Rec Community Services for working on that holiday as necessary. On Tuesday, January 22nd, we held our monthly workshop for property owners. And then on a going forward basis, tomorrow, Tuesday, January 28th, the Police Department is hosting an area neighborhood watch meeting at Marlowe Park from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. On Thursday, January 30th, that's this Thursday, kind of tying into the Climate Action Award, Energy Action Award that Hector De La Torre described and also the mayor described. From 5:30 to 7 p.m. here in the EOC this Thursday, we're hosting a public meeting regarding the city's climate action plan. So the climate action plan, behind the scenes, staff is working on that. with our consultant, looking to have a draft out, I think, in the March to April timeframe. So we're looking for the community's input. So for council members or for any other community groups that you may be in contact with, we'd like to have as many people out as possible to talk about priorities that they may have regarding climate change and climate action. Also want to mention on what we're going to transition to for the farmers market will be the first and third Friday of every month. So in the month of February, that's February 7th and February 21st. And then also want to mention just on the consent calendar, as usual, there's several items on there that are not called out separately unless the council pulls them. They're items that ensure stakeholders live and work in a safe environment. This meeting's consent calendar includes the acceptance of state grant monies. That's going to come back for the council for purchase of equipment, that's crime prevention equipment, an agreement for the biannual sidewalk inspection. So we have a consultant go through and do an inspection and inventory of all the sidewalks throughout the city and document areas that need improvement and areas that need to be watched so the pedestrians are safe out on those sidewalks. We have the purchase of a stump grinder for trees. So as trees are removed through the city for safety reasons, either providing a potentially could fall or they're lifting up concrete or lifting up asphalt, when the tree's removed, you've got to remove the stump and grind the stump out as well. Otherwise, you'll continue to have damage and uplifting of the sidewalks and streets. We also have acceptance of the outdoor fitness equipment at Veterans Park, and also a one-year extension of the software that residents use to register for recreation community services classes. I just want to end with one statement here. Just recognizing the police department had a complaint this weekend that's been out there on social media. They investigated. They took appropriate action. We're aware that there's a lot of speculation on social media, but these are one of the times where the police department and the city are walking that fine line between balancing transparency along with respect for the ongoing legal process. So there's an ongoing investigation at this point. And with that, I will say thank you and turn it back over to the mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much for that, City Manager. We will now move on to consent calendar. Does any member of the council successor agency wish to pull an item for separate discussion? Seeing none, may we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Barcena, second by Councilwoman De Leon Sanchez. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the council and successor agency, Barcena,
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem de la Rosa,
Yes.
and Mayor Chavez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you for that. City Manager, please announce discussion item number 10.1.
Thanks again, Mayor Chavez. This item is the local commission appointment list. It's staff's recommendation that the city council review the commission's appointments list and by motion remove commissioners and or make appointments to the posted vacancies. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much for that. Anybody have any changes or wants to add anybody to the commission's list?
I would, yeah. I would like to add Juan Manuel Rojas to the Education Committee.
Anybody else want to add it? Someone else? All right, seeing none, can we get a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Barcena and second by Mayor Pro Tem de la Rosa. Can we get, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any objections? All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 10.2.
Thanks again, Mayor Chavez. This item is the assessment of recent citywide crime statistics. So the police department's been requested from a couple of council members to present some information on annual crime stats while that data is being worked on to make sure that it is exact and precise. There's been a couple issues over the last approximately 10 weeks or so, the last 2.5 months, where we've seen an increase. You've probably noticed with notifications an increase in certain crimes regarding knives, guns, significantly more than what I think we normally see in a 2.5 month period of time. So in discussing this with the police chief, we thought it made sense to bring an item to council to acknowledge those issues and then to talk about some of the things that the police department is doing to counteract those crimes. So with that, I will turn it over to Police Chief Camacho. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, and good evening, Mayor Chavez and members of the City Council. So what I did is I actually seek the best men to help me out with this presentation, and that's going to be Detective Sergeant Ed Roberts. He's currently overseeing our General Investigations Unit, and so I'm going to let him do the presentation, and we're both going to be able to answer questions at the end.
Good evening, Mayor Chavez, honorable members of the City Council. My name is Ed Roberts. I've been your employee for about 15 years serving the community. I'm here to make a presentation on the crime statistics and incidents of note in the community as Mayor Chavez and other members of the council had requested. If I could direct your attention over to the PowerPoint, please. If you have any questions, I'd like to hold them towards the end, but certainly feel free to chime in if you have any questions. A couple of housekeeping issues I'd like to get out of the way. I don't want to make this too lengthy, but just for the benefit of the council and other folks here in the room, definition of the California Penal Code. In law enforcement, we enforce various codes, whether you're going to hear the vehicle code, the penal code, etc. Brought some definitions up here for you really quick. Essentially, it's crime and punishment, criminal procedure. If you direct your attention to that no trespassing sign, those are some of the legal requirements, right? It says posted, no trespassing, and the authority code behind it, which is Penal Code 602. Okay, vehicle code, much of the same, regulates vehicles, traffic laws, etc. Some relevant California Penal Code, vehicle code sections for you. Mayor Chavez, you'd requested a report essentially in like the last 75 days is the target period that I chose. Pretty much covers the holiday season, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Eve, kind of the most important parts of the year. Just for the benefit of the council, I focused on the crimes that you had all requested. So, for example, 245A1 is assault with a deadly weapon, right? There's many versions of that, and there's going to be subsections. For example, assault with a deadly weapon, a baseball bat, a knife, or a handgun. 3 separate code sections within that 245 section right there. 245A2, assault with a firearm. I don't want to drag this on, but there in the PowerPoint there are certainly some definitions and some examples for your benefit, okay? And I'll give one right there. So pistol whipping, for example, you pull out a handgun on someone, so a bad guy pulls out a handgun, uses it as an exclamation point or as a weapon, but doesn't actually discharge the weapon at the person. It's going to be an assault with a firearm, right? For example, if we take it a step further, that individual fires the firearm towards the person, takes it from an assault, goes through what we call an attempt, right? It's going to be an attempted murder. You ended up shooting at someone. We can pretty much surmise that the intentions, you're going to try to take that person's life for great bodily injury. Those are examples. A man who is angry that his ex-wife is seeing another man, confronts her outside of her apartment, points a gun at her, and shoots at her. Misses. Assault with a deadly weapon. Okay. California Penal Code 246, very relevant here in Bell Gardens. Shooting at an inhabited dwelling or vehicle. Folks, members of a community just minding their own business, being inside their place of residence. 2 folks get in some sort of altercation, discharge a firearm, missing at each other, and now they're putting bullet holes inside just an innocent family's residence. This would be the penal code that is applicable. Okay? And this is the big one, 664187. It's attempt murder, right? I fire the weapon towards the individual with the intent to hurt him or cause great bodily injury. Takes it up from an assault with a deadly weapon, elevates the crime to an attempted murder. Okay? I just want you guys to be familiar because I'm breaking the categories to report to the council on these 3 major sections. We're just going to be the assault with a deadly weapon, with a knife, other weapon, gun, attempt murder, discharging a weapon at an occupied dwelling or vehicle, and auto thefts, just because that's always going to be a huge concern in our county. California Vehicle Code 10851, this is a big one. It's Bell Gardens, and I'm sorry, I think statewide, nationwide, auto thefts are just rampant, no matter where you go. So we're doing our best to combat it, but that's the authority code for it. Other examples, just someone takes a friend's car without permission, right? Roommate's car without asking. You take a police car for a joyride, it's going to be vehicle section 10851, okay? So in summary, this is the meat and potatoes of it. This is what Mayor Chavez and members of the council have requested, right? A summary on all shootings, stabbings that occurred in the last 75 days in the city of Bell Gardens. This is the breakdown right here. So in that 75-day period, I collated the data, and this is what we have. We have 2 investigations regarding an assault involving a stabbing. We had 5 investigations regarding assault with a deadly weapon, another category. Could be a baseball bat, could be a boot, could be any other thing besides a gun or a knife, anything like that. And then 245A2 cases involving a gun. Doesn't necessarily mean they shot at the person, but a weapon was used where the officers established there was enough criteria to charge section 245. Doesn't mean 12 people were definitely shot at, but it met the elements of that crime. 246, we had 1 instance of somebody shooting into or in the general direction of an occupied dwelling, satisfied the code. and 2 investigations relating to attempted murder. And at the very, very bottom, kind of separate, right? Because obviously on the severity scale, 245, attempt murder is very, very severe. Auto theft is a property crime, but no less important to the community because of the impact it has on all our residents. We had 39 investigations regarding grand theft auto. Could be you woke up, came out, your car was missing, but at the end of the day, the resident or the person reporting to the Bell Gardens Police Department stated vehicle had been taken against their will, okay? But that does not include like a carjacking for anything. This is just a straight property crime. Somebody woke up and found their car missing. A lot of the times, those investigations are reported, almost immediately. This is just essentially a crime stat that I wanted to pull up. This is just at a glance for the benefit of the council, right? Because I'm giving you statistics for a period starting November, ending mid-January, right? But we have nothing to compare, right? Because we're trying to figure out if we have a disproportionate amount this year. If this year was earmarked as like a big, we had a disproportionate amount of instances, or not really. So the chief of police and I kind of like went through the prior year statistics. And as you can see, like in summary, November 1st of 2023 through January 31, 24, we just collected everything. So that involves auto thefts, pretty much all those categories just lumped up into one. So you have 72 versus the 66. So I don't want to, disqualify it, but I don't think we have a disproportionate amount. It just seems like the frequency was kind of ramped up in a very, very specific time. But those are the numbers that I can produce for you. 66 from the period of November 1 of 2024, Jan 15. Shoot, my math skills are a little off today, but it looks like we're 6 apart. So, not too terrible. But, of course, a concern for us as a police department, too, and I'm sure as a city council got your attention. A couple of the factors people are going to ask, I'm sure like members of a community are going to be asking the question, as you, the city fathers and mothers, resurgence criminal street gangs. Why? Why is that happening, right? I don't know. I had to do some research in preparation for this presentation. But these are some of the things. I went on social media in preparation for this presentation, and it really, really bothered me that so prevalent on Google was my street map, Loveland, and there it is. For the benefit and, out of courtesy to those folks, I covered them up as best I could just to not expose anybody. But Loveland, City of Bell Gardens. I've worked in this town for 15 years. I've been part of this community for 15 years. Been an Explorer advisor. I've worked with all the kids and our youth, throughout the years, and I know our youth and our kids good. I don't think we have a disproportionate amount of criminal street gangs. I just think we have street gangs, as many other communities are afflicted with it. So I just wrote for this, I said resurgence of gang activity often correlates with spikes in violence due to territorial disputes. I don't think we're in the middle of a gang war or anything like that, but I just believe it's resurging. Okay, next slide. We're going to talk about some of the things, right? Like what's going on? Why this uptick in crimes? There's no short answer for it. I don't know. I would speculate based off of the data, what I'm reading, I'm looking at it, there is a correlation, right? I've been a cop for 15 years here. Most cops, based on their experience and training, know that at the end of the year, holiday season, people are home, people are drinking, people are recreating, they're together. That could be a good indicator of why it is, but I don't know if that is the specific answer, okay? Cultural and media influence. I'm older, but not old enough not to know what social media is, so I know what a big part it is in most people's lives, right? And, I listen to all kinds of music, right? And social media has a tendency to, there's net banging, there's all kinds of other terms, but basically all people get real brave over social media. And, you get mad over social media, you're going to be mad in person, right? So it could be part of it. Cultural glorification of guns, social media. I'm not going to lay out any part of the music industry, but we can all know that there is a certain segment of the music industry that glorifies violence and that criminal lifestyle. Potentially, 50-year-old guy, I'm not really listening to it, but maybe the youngsters are. So that could be one of the factors right there. Social media and gangs, definitely there is a correlation. Data will show that. Another thing, why the uptick? I have to dance around this a little bit, but I need to be tactful, right? Policy and legislative gaps in the United States of America, State of California, and LA County. We had an outgoing district attorney who had done away with a lot of the gang germane, laws that resulted in prosecutions and stuff. Now, a lot with the election of the new district attorney, he's back to gang suppression and enforcing, 18622 of the Penal Code, which is pretty much the Safe Streets Act, and talks about like gangs and prosecuting gang-related crimes, which I'm sure there may be a deterrent, but I'm going to let somebody with a lot more training, a lot more legal experience comment on that. So with my chief, we were talking about like what is Bell Gardens doing, to satisfy the needs of our community, right, to like reduce the crime. So I wrote the statement, right? I said, Bell Gardens Police Department has implemented several strategic and collaborative law enforcement efforts to address the uptick in shootings, stabbings, shootings at the occupied dwellings, and auto thefts, right? These initiatives aim to combat criminal activity effectively, enhance public safety through targeted enforcement partnerships, proactive policing. It's a big statement, right? What are we doing? We're working with the community, right? And that's not lip service to our council. That's what we do. That's what the Bell Gardens Police Department does, whether it's neighborhood watch meetings or we're out there interacting with our folks. So if I could direct you to, these are some of the things, this is kind of like behind the scenes. I'm sure you as the members of the city council, you've got a little bit more exposure to the inner workings of the police department. But like, for example, the investigative sections at the police department divided into two, right? There's general investigations, which I'm in charge of, and then there's the specialized investigation unit, which is Sergeant Puente. Two investigative bodies collaborating within the police department, right? SIU's the gang unit. I'm a former gang unit detective. I spent about 7 years in the gang unit. I worked gang and narcotics. I worked patrol, and now I'm back in general investigations, right? We are blessed in the fact that we get to collaborate. We've got limited resources just like everybody else does, but the beauty of SIU, the gang unit, collaborating with what's called the Southeast Gang Task Forces, all the Southeast agencies contribute to a common effort, right? So Bell Gardens will send 2 or 3 other detectives, where in turn Bell will send 2. Huntington Park will send 2, for example. Collaboratively, now you've got a body of about 10, 15 detectives targeting enforcement within a specific city or identifying a problem and actually working on that problem. So that's the Southeast Gang Task Force. They're all folks from our local agencies. We don't work with like the LAPD, the LA Sheriff as far as that goes. It's just Huntington Park, the local Southeast cities that we're all used to working with together. Big terms, but at the end of the day, we all collaborate for a common goal. We're trying to do gang suppression. Integration in the general investigation unit with patrol and specialized investigations. We're not kingdoms unto ourselves. GIU, SIU, and patrol, we work together. I'm looking for somebody broke into your home, there's video footage of it. I know a lot of the folks here, but I don't know everybody in Bell Gardens, right? So I'm gonna take a photograph, still shot, circulate it against my patrol officers that grew up in the town, know the town really well, or just work in the streets, and my gang detectives, and go, does anybody know who this person is? Somebody will always chime in, oh, I remember that guy, or that person, right? That's how we're doing it. So enhanced communication between patrol officers responding to crimes, streamlined identification of patterns in property crimes. Like if someone's telling me, hey, there's a bunch of stolen vehicles on Shoal Street, right? It's probably where we need to be at the moment, right? There's some indicator that it's going on in that town. We may divert our resources, targeted enforcement work in that direction, right? Second deal, fostered a rapid response framework for identifying suspects. That's the beauty of it. The fact that I can put out an email to my entire patrol staff and we can work on getting somebody identified rather than I have to work it in silence without anybody else helping me out, it just doesn't work. We collaborate. Next thing, collaboration with the Task Force for Regional Auto Theft Prevention. This is a great one. TRAP. TRAP is a statewide effort, right? It's a regional task force. It's much more like the Southeast Gang Task Force. There's an LA County specific one. Highway Patrol, Sheriff's Department, LAPD, everybody contributes to it. Deals with auto theft. Big problem in our community. Sometimes we reach out to TRAP, go, hey, can you send some of your detectives, some of your undercover resources or something? We're going to start focusing on identifying some of the folks that are actually taking our people's cars. That's what TRAP does. Okay. Next one, augmentation of investigative units. It's a tough one. I'm sure the City Council is painfully aware, budget crunches, recruitment and retention issues. I'm not going to pain you with that. We do the best we can. Our Chief of Police has done a phenomenal job in augmenting our investigative staff to the best of the abilities within the constraints that we're dealing with. So if you look at that, recognizing the need for increasing investigative capacity, BGPD has augmented the number of detectives assigned to the investigative units. Expansion has allowed for more thorough and timely investigations of violent crimes and thefts, reduced case backlogs, enabling detectives to focus on proactive crime solving. And number 3, strengthen BGPD's ability to address complex cases requiring specialized expertise. Some cases are really easy, right? Shoplifter goes into Marshall's, takes something, he's on video, we'll work it that way, right? And there's going to be cases that require a lot more finesse, a lot more investigative, and they're certainly more taxing. And here's a big one, right? Proactive policing initiatives. If I can direct your attention to that photo, that is proactive policing at its finest, right? You've got 3 cops out of a cop car, standing in a park, on a bicycle, with 2 kids. And that's what I keep on talking about. Community-oriented policing is huge, that dialogue, that interacting with our community. Those kids have that positive aspect and thought of the police. 10 years later, when they're grown adults, mothers and fathers, they're going to have that same perception, okay? That's why I put that slide in there, okay? So we're going to talk about proactive policing. It's just basically a cornerstone of BGPD's strategy to deter criminal activity, right? I need witnesses. I need somebody to stand up and tell me what occurred. That's them. It's not about using them. It's about encouraging them to take ownership over their community and work with their police department. We're their police department. We work for them. They need to trust us, right? And that's a big aspect of the community trust. So you're talking about increased visibility patrols in high crime areas to deter theft and crimes, regular community outreach efforts to build trust and encourage the reporting of suspicious activity, right? Nobody wins if you're sitting there quietly knowing, yeah, I saw it last week. I need you calling right now telling me what happened, right? So we can get on the problem. And improve the ability to disrupt gang-related violence or retaliatory attacks. That's the trust of the community stepping up and letting us know, I saw him do this, I saw this, I have video cameras, let me give them to the police so we can help them solve this crime. Community-oriented policing, proactive policing, very, very important part of our philosophy here at BGPD. Oh boy, that photo I just thought was funny, but I thought it's interesting. It's 2024 and it's going to introduce you to policing methods, right? Those are virtual reality goggles. The state of the art has progressed. It's 2024. I know I'm looking at that young officer going, that I would have never imagined putting goggles like that when I was a young cop, but there it is. That simulation-based training. Augmented reality. After a few seconds of wearing those goggles, that's the reality. So now a lot of the training can be done instead of shipping them off to some facility far away. They could be doing it here in our council chambers, in our backyard. So police chief is very, very big on equipping our department with the necessary tools. That's huge. So enhanced training for officers, investigative staff, right? Increased focus on equipping officers and detectives with the skills necessary to address evolving crime trends, right? I'm in charge of a group of young detectives, and they are some of the best trained detectives out there, and that's because of Chief Camacho and his philosophy. Let's get them to school. Let's teach them about internet crimes, some of the fraudulent methods in detective school, and that's huge. Advanced investigative techniques for handling violent crimes and auto theft, right? TRAP. Who do we call? TRAP. Put in, I can't give some of their tactics away, but, there are advanced measures for combating auto theft. Okay, gang intervention strategies, tactics to address, vertical prosecution. There's all kinds of methods out there, right? De-escalation, huge. I'm a crisis negotiator, right? I went to the FBI school a long time ago, learned crisis negotiations. How to talk to somebody to get them to surrender themselves rather than have any kind of intervention. That's the stuff that the police chief has pushed through. Okay, so de-escalation, crisis intervention training to enhance community engagement. At the end of the day, officer safety, right? I want my officer safe, but I want our community safe. Okay, and here's the thing, big one, right? The stakeholders in the community, you and the members of the community, right? And that's us. Neighborhood Watch. Bell Gardens Police Department established a strong partnership with the community via Neighborhood Watch program, right? When I asked the chief, I'm all, hey, can you give me the number of members of Neighborhood Watch? Not remembering the number, but it was like 549, 546, I almost got it right. 546 members of the community have taken it upon themselves to affiliate themselves with the Neighborhood Watch program. That's indicative of people perceiving that they want to be affiliated, right? Good photos, but that's my partner right there. That's Detective Lopez right there, just sitting at McDonald's with coffee with a cop. Some people think it's corny. I think it's great. Anybody can just sit there and go talk to a police officer. When I was a cop, when I was a young kid, I was terrified of talking to cops. And have coffee with a cop. Now you got the ability to walk in here and just talk to some cops and just have a dialogue. That's the beauty of the programs. So Neighborhood Watch is huge, right? We disseminate information to the members of the community, and guess what? It goes both ways. They disseminate information to the police department. It's huge. So partnership leverages the power of engaged residents. Engaged residents. Huge, right? We want our community engaged. You own Bell Gardens. You live here. You exist here. This is your community. Help us help you, right? So, and that's a big statement right there. This partnership leverages the power of engaged residents to serve as an additional layer of vigilance and deterrence. I drive in my patrol car down Loveland Street. I make my left turn. Bad guy comes out. Neighborhood Watch person's still there with a set of eyes on what's occurring in your community. And BGPD partnership with the Neighborhood Watch program continued, right? It's cornerstone of the department's community policing strategy with over 546 active members serving as a set of eyes for law enforcement. These committed residents work alongside the police to maintain a robust, we don't have a network of informants, we have a network of concerned citizens who care about your community, okay? Their community, my community. Crime awareness and reporting. Neighborhood Watch members are trained to recognize suspicious activities, right? They don't go to a police academy. A lot of these folks have gone through like the Citizen Academy or just by the interaction with the police. Every time I'm at a Neighborhood Watch meeting, I speak Spanish, just so you know. I was born in TJ, my mom's from Mexico, I speak Spanish, and nobody looks at me like, hey, you speak Spanish? Well, yeah. So I like talking to like the members of the community, right? I tell them, hey, the most important thing, because I get it, hey, can you tell me what the bad guy car looked like? I don't have troca. I'm like, okay, that doesn't describe anything, right? Give me the license plate, right? But now I got folks telling me, hey, I got the placa for you. I'm like, that's what we need, right? That's what's gonna solve our crime. So crime awareness and reporting, information dissemination, and proactive prevention, right? Huge cornerstones of the whole Neighborhood Watch program. And there's a great picture of my chief interacting with a bunch of people during the Neighborhood Watch. I copy out a cop. And impact of these efforts. I'm going to read this one, right? I said, through these comprehensive measures, the Bell Gardens Police Department has made significant strides in addressing the recent surge in criminal activity. The alignment of resources, partnerships with the specialized task force, and proactive strategies demonstrate our department's commitment to ensuring the safety and security of our Bell Gardens community. Ongoing evaluation and adaptation of these efforts will be essential in maintaining their effectiveness and building long-term public trust. I think that's the primary goal of this department, building the trust with our community. And final slide, it's a big thank you to all you. Thank you for your support of the police department, my chief, and my colleagues. Do any of you have any questions?
Thank you so much for that presentation.
It was
I'll
my
open it up for discussion.
Yeah, thank you so much for all that information. One of the things that I really enjoyed was your honesty in acknowledging that it's really hard to know really why it feels like crime is increasing at a certain point in time. If anything, I wouldn't really expect the police department to explain to us or decode the reason why or give us their opinion. I think, if anything, as elected officials, it's sort of our responsibility to try to come up with those answers, because we're supposed to come up with solutions for our constituents. Like, you know, this is what I'm trying to do different in the city. I'm trying to fund these types of programs to help families be a little bit more unified, a little more cohesive, trying to prevent violence at home or in schools, or, you know, I feel like that's my responsibility as a council member, and I feel like that's my colleagues' responsibility as well. So I really appreciate the honesty coming from you, and I also appreciate the fact that you do try to do some things that are a little bit outside the box, right? I mean, for example, the cadets program. It's really cool that you guys are working on that angle, because in my opinion, crime doesn't just happen in a vacuum. When a person's already over 18, all of a sudden they just decide to commit crime. We know that's not how things happen, statistically speaking. We know that crimes happen usually after a series of behaviors and exposures to certain environments, whether bad influences at school, maybe violence at home. You know that these things end up sort of eroding into the psyche of a person, and then it results in a crime later on, right? So what are we doing as council members to help create the opportunities or avoid the risks from children ending up in the wrong places at the wrong time with the wrong people, right? I always think about the pool when it shut down. We used to get, like, on average, about 350 kids during the summer. And when the pool shut down, I was hoping that thing would get open again as soon as possible. But 2 years went by. And when you do the math, right? Let's say that we're open for like 3 or 4 months during the summer. Every day, average 350 kids. 350 kids for 3 months, instead of being in a supervised environment, a healthy environment in the recreation department, where are they now? What are they doing for how many years have we been shut down with the pool, right? So I think about those things, and that's the reason why I'm here, because when you think about the missed opportunities and the risk and the exposure that some of these kids have at the expense of not having recreational programs, appropriate recreational programs and facilities, I feel like that's kind of where the crime sort of sneaks into our communities. Well, that's a big part of it. It's not all of it. But again, I appreciate you guys trying to answer that very difficult question and giving us that update. I'm happy to see that we're not doing that bad in terms of actual numbers and the amount of crime that's happening. I do have a question. Is there any way we can look at stats regularly? Like, is there a source where we can just log in and kind of like filter data and see it ourselves?
Yes. So one of the things that I've been in touch with our city managers, that we went through a transition with our computer systems that we have that control all the stats. So we just finalized the paperwork that it's going to allow us to do so we're allowing the vendor to come in and kind of work on that project. So I'm hoping that by the beginning of March, I'll be able to give you guys pretty much live data, and I could provide you guys either with every other week or maybe once a month, and you'll have all the stats that I think you guys would want to update you on what's going on in the city, and for anybody else that might have a question out there regarding crime.
So public safety is one of my priorities for the city. I ran on that, and I'm continuing, to bring public safety to the forefront. That's why I feel that it is extremely vital that this city has their own police department. And I think all the work that you guys put into the city is evident of that, by having the neighborhood watch, by being transparent with the community, by being transparent with us, right? Our city's obviously not perfect. We do have crime, but I'm glad to see that it's not at an all-time high, and that there are proactive things going on happening to ensure that we have a safe city. I want to be able to have our seniors go to the park and feel safe. I want to be able to have our students go to the after-school programs, walking there or whatnot, and be safe. And so I think collectively we are doing that, but I think we need to continue, right? And we need to really focus and see what resources may be lacking within the department that we need to support in order to continue that of having a safe city. I do want to thank both of you very much for putting this together and showing us some of the statistics. I know that I've actively have met with Chief, and I've met with Fairfield before, the prior Chief, talking about these issues, because I want to be able to identify them and see what are the commonalities throughout each month, and see what we can do once again to be proactive in that. So thank you very much, and know that you always have my support. And if we do need to kind of revisit to see what other supports are needed to make our community safe, to please vocalize that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Francis de Leon Sanchez. The only thing that I would add is that you're absolutely right. I think we're a little behind in technology, and that's been through the years of budget cuts. And one of the things that we're working is on that we got to be able to keep up with this pace. The goal is to bring different softwares that is going to allow you, and it's going to allow the community to see what we're doing, and we're going to try to post this on our website, at least so people could be aware of what's happening. I think we want to be transparent. We want the community to know what the city is doing and what the police department is doing. But I think when you look at the budget, right, because we're always talking about budgets, my budget is probably one of the biggest ones across all the departments. But that's because it's expensive to run a police department. And I'm going to be bringing up different items throughout the year. I understand that we all have to be able to kind of live with the reality of our budget, but I think I need a couple more tools, a couple more software systems that could get us there. So thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you so much for that, Chief.
So likewise, as my colleague, Councilwoman De Leon, I want to thank you for all the work, all the effort, you as well in the back, that goes into our community. Since I can remember my mom would visit these neighborhood watch meetings, and I can attest that they're extremely helpful. You said something, Sergeant, Detective Sergeant, that this is our community, this is also your community. This is where you spend most of your time away from family, and I've seen it firsthand how you guys respond, and you do it with a lot of empathy and compassion, and I appreciate that because it speaks volumes, not just on behalf of us, but of you as, as officials of our city as well. So thank you, and anything that we can do to support you, we're here for you. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you for all the hard work that's being put out in the field and also behind the scenes. I know it's a challenging, moment to be in such situations, right? I've seen how the police department has been proactive in involving our youth. I myself was part of the Explorer program for some time, and just being part of that is just so empowering, to the youth. It's such a wonderful experience to be, shoulder to shoulder with police officers, whether it's at the Rose Bowl or at the local checkpoints. That all just places a great impact in our youth. And thank you so much for the presentation. It was very thorough, very informative in terms of all the types of crimes that are categorized, and as well as the breakdown, comparing it how it differed from the past years to the present, right? And I found it very very inspiring to see how all these departments across the Southeast LA region contribute to the gang unit, right? And how all these collaborative efforts come into play. And it's great seeing them when they're like right there on the scene and taking care of our community. So thank you so much for all your hard work and efforts in protecting our community and citizens.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem De La Rosa. For those of you that didn't know, when I was an advisor, he actually joined, and I'm glad that I never made him do extra push-ups. So he came to the program, and I want to say that he was there for a couple of months, but his work schedule didn't allow him to go to the academy. Other than that, he would have been able to wear the blue shirt with the badge. But I always joke with him. I go, I don't think I made you do that many push-ups, and he says he doesn't remember.
He can go ahead and do them right now, right? Catch up, right? All those. I'm serious. No, I'm kidding. Look, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad that this item was brought and that we're hearing this. It's super important, right? Consistently, we have, I'm pretty sure all of us here on the council, we have residents who reach out about concerns on their blocks. I've had to direct residents to speak directly with Coordinator Paniagua and set up maybe a conversation, right, sometime to discuss, just to really build that trust. I think for me, especially within these last couple of years, coming out of the pandemic and everything that happened, even with the last DA and now turning the page with the new DA, I think that we're at a time where we have a great opportunity to build from where we left off. And there was consistent narrative that I would hear about crime is happening, but people aren't reporting what's happening, right? And when we talk about statistics, we need to know what's happening. Consistently, I'll go on a forum, Bell Gardens Uncensored or on other forums, and people will say, why am I going to call the police if nothing's going to happen, right? We need to have that data. We need to know that some call was made at a certain time, and it's important that we can do that. We can get people to do that by building trust, right? Whether that be through being out in the parks, doing the bikes, being out there with us in those events. What's the other one that we've had? The neighborhood watch program, you name it, right? The business community is another huge one, right? It feels good when you go into that one restaurant. I can think of El Pescador, who has that little sign there that's a proud supporter of our Bell Gardens Police Department. So every other week when we have council meetings, I'm always going to try to bring some new business as well to recognize them. So I think that's an opportunity where perhaps maybe they could become, give them that official sticker and say, hey, you know what, paste this out there and we're here to support you as well. So I do have a couple of questions in regards to maybe some of the not the more serious crimes that were touched on. I do think it's important, you know, when it comes to stabbing and, you know, with other weapons like bats and stuff. I know we touched on, you know, crimes that involved a gun, a shot as if it was like a dwelling, attempted murder, and then GTA or Grand Theft Auto. And one of the things that I was curious about, there's three, and it's consistently one that comes up every other time. It's about parking, right? And people, even me, prior to being on council, people think that double parking is when you save a spot with another car, but double parking is when you park the car in the middle of the street and you just leave it there, right? And now you're taking two spots. So I think in terms of parking citations, you know, is that something that our police department enforces? That's something through like the street sweeper one, which is like CSOs, but I don't know if they fall under directly our police department. I'm kind of curious about that.
Yes, Mayor Chavez, the community service officers, their primary duty is to actually enforce vehicles that are in violation of, maybe an example would be like blocking a driveway, double parking, handicap spot, or maybe on the fire lane, going through the alleys. That's their primary duty, to focus on the traffic enforcement and the parking enforcement throughout the city. And we do keep stats on that. So I could get you stats on that as well.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing the statistics when it comes to like to parking specifically. Consistently, and just yesterday night I saw someone post a video where they said, you know, the car's blocking half of my driveway. Should I give them a break, or should I call the towing company, or what should I do? So at the end, I think they just left them a little note saying, hey, I had trouble getting into, but you know, they're trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, or help them out. So I was curious about the parking. So does that mean that our police department, not the CSOs, right? Because I know that they're separate. Unless we have CSOs that just run.
Mayor, I think you're confusing the CSOs with the code enforcement officers. So the community service officers, CSOs, do work for the police department and are the ones that are primarily tasked with issuing parking citations. The code enforcement officers work for community development. They also do some parking citation, but predominantly it's the CSOs with the police department.
So they both enforce parking?
They both, but primarily it's the police department with the CSOs.
Okay, got it.
So
Hope
if I could,
that makes sense.
yeah.
I'm curious, so if the CSO, and the CSO to me is the one that drives behind the street sweeper.
That's one, yeah. That's one CSO that is responsible for the street sweeper, and for any vehicles that are parked, then primarily they go with the street sweeper. But we have additional CSOs that are out there enforcing the sections that I just mentioned.
Do the CSOs, are they 24/7, or do we have someone in every different shift?
Yes, so we have, for example, like Monday through Friday, you pretty much have them here from, the street sweeper comes in at, that CSO that follows the street sweeper comes in at 5 in the morning. Then the second CSO comes in at 6 in the morning. So they're both assigned to different areas of the city. For example, the CSO that is assigned to the street sweeper will stay with the street sweeper till it's done, till the route is done. The other CSO will come in and will primarily handle all the vehicles that are parked on Florence, because we want to make sure that Florence has the 3 lanes, because there's certain hours overnight that you can leave your vehicle parked on Florence. But we bring in that CSO so that they could focus on clearing those areas where we know that if the vehicle's not moved, now you're creating some type of traffic problem in that area.
Got it. So what about in the weekends?
On the weekends, we also have additional CSOs, so they work from 12 p.m. all the way to 10 p.m. And their focus, again, traffic enforcement, parking enforcement. And then when they're gone, then whoever calls our dispatch center, whether it's an officer or a sergeant or lieutenant, they're going to go out there, they're going to handle that call for service.
Understood. So it seems like as if, for example, on the weekend, if it's not between the hours of 12 to 10, you know, it has to come from the resident to just make the call in and then say, hey, I need someone to, you know, come give this citation to someone who's blocking my driveway.
Right, so that's the beauty about having your own police department, because if that CSO is already busy doing something else, if there's an available patrol officer, they're gonna send that patrol officer to handle that call for service. So there's not gonna be much waiting time. Whether it's a CSO or a police officer, we're gonna handle that parking issue.
I noticed there was also a new law that went into effect where I think it's called the sun setting or the sunshine, I don't know how the law is named, but it's essentially where even if it's not red, the car is not supposed to park certain close to the sidewalk. To the sidewalk.
It's actually the intersection.
The intersection,
Yeah,
yes.
so blind spot. So on that one, I'm working with Mr. Iniguez from Public Works, because we're gonna have to come up with a plan, and there's gonna be some. I think the way we want to do it first is we're gonna have to educate the community. We're gonna hold a couple of outreach centers to enforce and kind of get the message out before we take any action on that.
I've seen a lot of buzz about that new law, and just a suggestion in just my own perspective, I think it's always, perhaps for the first time, right, giving them a courteous warning, and that'd be a documented warning where, it's actually a proof that, hey, you're not getting a citation, but next time if this happens again, this is the new law that went into effect. I found out that it's actually been a law for such a long time, it just wasn't enforced.
So I think that we have to be able to, and I think for the rest of the city council, what he's explaining is if you have an intersection, you can't park, we'll say 10 feet from the actual stop sign or the light. So that way, when you're making a right or a left, there's no blind spots. But can you imagine what that's going to create? That's going to have four less parking spaces in the city of Bell Gardens, which is, it's going to create a little bit of, we're going to be challenged by that, right? Because we want to be able to kind of let them know this is the new law. And like you were saying, we're going to have to do some type of outreach, educate the community, and then start with advisements. And then at some point, we're going to have to enforce the law.
If I may, I just want to mention that, in the last few years that I've been here, I noticed staff is very receptive about, painting the curbs red where there are areas with blind spots. For example, they're on the corner of Quinn and Garfield. They did a really good job at painting that whole area red because it's really hazardous when you're trying to get onto Garfield. So I am concerned that this thing is probably, it could be like a very sweeping type of law where like all of a sudden people are going to be breaking the law all around because they're not leaving that space. And how do you determine that? So I don't know.
So we
hopefully we can look into it and see if there's anything we can do to.
So the law's already in the
strategize.
books.
It's already in.
It's already in the books, so that's already a done deal. What I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to work with Mr. Iniguez right here for Public Works, and whether we just take the initiative of painting whatever the law says on those blind spots, which is 8 or 10 feet. I think that's probably going to be a good way about going, because if they see the red curb, they're pretty much going to be able to say, I can't park there. And then at some point, like I said, we'll go with the outreach, educating the community, and eventually we're going to have to enforce it.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that. Just the plan as far as how long, because we're gonna have to do for all of our curbs. The idea I think behind when the law was created was, to give pedestrians and bicyclists and the right of way, and even then, like Councilmember Barcena mentioned, I know that section. I think it's right in front of La Pizza del Sol when you're trying to turn, and I mean, it's considering a community like ours that's also heavily industrial, like streets like Garfield and Suva, where we have residents who happen to live on those streets as well. They're coming out on Garfield, and the front home or the front building is actually a body shop, but they live in the back.
Yeah. And
you got big rigs coming in, and I'm thinking of specific on Garfield and Clara. Right. So it's interesting, especially with this whole parking, and obviously our community has parking issues. Right. It's difficult. So I'm interested in seeing the parking citation numbers and all of that.
So Mayor Chavez, I think what I'll do is I'll meet with our city manager and Mr. Iniguez, and then we'll come up with a plan, and I think we'll be able to report back to council. But sooner or later, this is gonna have to be done.
Thank you so much for that, Chief. Two other ones, and I want to make these a little bit quicker in regards to like noise, right? I know that's another big one that I consistently get. It's a Friday night, Saturday night. You know, some residents reach out and they say, "Hey, I'm have a noise disturbance." I know that we do have a ordinance in regards to noise disturbance at a certain time. I'm curious to know if we've actually, what's the process in regards to enforcement of that ordinance? Is it, you know, usually I think it's someone has to call it in. Police goes out, gives a warning, hey, we got a call. Can you guys lower the volume down or, you know, keep it a little bit quiet? Second time, if you guys get called again, you guys go out, then it's an officially citation. I think that's probably.
That's the way it works, exactly. Then we go through the different, well, pretty much there's phase 2, phase 3, and then eventually we'll make different recommendations to the reporting party if they want to get involved, because now we could go into the penal code section of 415 if they want to make a citizen's arrest, but we'll leave that towards the end. But you know, there's now a couple of options, but I think we have our system set right now where everybody's kind of getting the notice and then we're actually going after the fine.
Do we actually give out the fines? Have we gotten to that point where?
Yes, we already have a system in place where finance is in charge of sending out the notifications and collecting the actual payment for the fine.
Do you have a ballpark number of más o menos how many fines do we give out? I mean, have we given out within the last, I don't know, for maybe the holiday season? Because assuming that's when people mostly have.
Approximately about anywhere from 8 to 10.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you so much for that.
Sure.
And then finally, I'd probably say one of the biggest ones to the last, because there's a big blast, and no pun intended, with fireworks. You know, it's 4th of July season's coming around. As I'm driving through Garfield, I'll see a big banner that says $10,000 fine with fireworks, right, if you get caught igniting the firework. Kind of curious to know, in terms of enforcement, how much is the fireworks ban enforced, and how many citations have we given out?
So in the year of 2024, we cited 7 individuals, and they all went through the city attorney's office for a prosecution under the BGMC section.
And then, since in 2023, any?
I would say about the same number. I mean, they're anywhere from 5 to 10.
And Mayor, I think just if the chief, I think the fireworks citation is kind of a special citation in the requirements for a police officer to issue a citation. I think we've talked about this a lot, but I think it's helpful if the chief reminds maybe for the new council members. So are the criteria, conditions that have to exist to actually give somebody a citation for fireworks?
So this is one of those ones that it's very challenging because under the law, you got to be able to observe the actual misdemeanor committed in your presence. So if you don't have that, then you're not going to be able to cite anyone. You're not going to be able to prosecute anyone. So this is where it becomes very challenging, because if the reporting party makes the call into our dispatch center, then we go out there. By the time we get out there, it's probably too late. We attempted a couple enforcement strategies. Some of them worked. That's where we got some of those citations. But that's, putting out undercover, officers out there. And then when you have a street anywhere from 20 to 30 juveniles, and then you're trying to figure out, well, who's the one that actually, committed the crime, it's really challenging. So we got to be able to kind of observe the violation in order for us to really issue the citation.
Mayor, if I may. I actually want to thank the police department for, a couple of years ago, you guys really kicked into gear. I think back with the other chief, that's when it got started. I know that when we first approved it, it was a little bit slow, but then the following year, I think it made a big difference. At least the quality of life improved for everyone in regards to noise and all the fireworks, the pollution that they bring. I would like to encourage you guys and the city to take a proactive approach with this, because especially right now after the fires, right? I know we don't have a lot of dry vegetation and trees here, but that's always something that after seeing the fires and the devastation in the entire LA County, fires are a real threat in our neighborhoods. And with fireworks, I feel like that always increases. I don't know if you guys saw the recent, they call it a takeover also, over in Compton. They actually went to the DMV and they blasted like thousands of fireworks, right? And these people, they're all over the LA County, I guess, and they come together and they do a takeover of a city. So I feel like if we are able to send a strong message from the get-go, I feel like that can save a lot of problems as 4th of July comes around. And hopefully people are a little more chill now that we've had that disaster, and they're thinking more in terms of like, we just lost thousands of homes due to fires, so I'm gonna chill out with the fireworks. But this takeover, it did happen like about a month ago, and it was crazy. Like, you guys Google it later, and it was in Compton. I could hear it all the way to my house. Did you hear it too? Yeah, it was insane. But I appreciate the efforts that go into enforcing that law in our city, because I do feel like that improves the air quality. It eliminates a lot of suffering from veterans that are out there that maybe have PTSD. I know that our fluffy little friends, our pets, they also are negatively impacted by that. So yeah.
If I could add something, Councilmember Barcena. So just because the numbers are low doesn't mean that it's not working, because it's a lot of the stuff that we've been doing through social media, letting everybody know that it's against the law. The other thing is that we put out a special enforcement for this type of, we'll say with this type of enforcement with fireworks. So you'll have dedicated officers going down the streets, and if they're thinking about setting up their fireworks, they'll think twice or maybe 3 times, because they know we're out there. If we didn't have this and it was legal, I think it definitely probably would be worse.
Thank you so much for that, Chief. Ultimately, I just want to say thank you for all the work that all the men and women at the Bell Gardens Police Department do day to day. Really appreciate it. And I think, again, it's the leadership like yourself that leads this incredible department. So I just really appreciate the consistent effort to make Bell Gardens better. And again, it takes a community to raise a child, right? I'm really appreciate the comments that Councilman Barcena mentioned. He mentioned the pool. I think about the skate park, right? If we didn't have that skate park for a lot of our kids, maybe that is their place where they feel safe, because perhaps at home they're not getting the love, they're not getting the amount of attention that they need when they're growing up and stuff. So I just really appreciate it. And again, it's programs like this with our Neighborhood Watch, the Coffee with the Cop, huge supporter of that as well. Thank you for letting us know about the technology as the year goes on. That's going to be something definitely we should look into to ensure that you all are well equipped to enforce the laws in our books and make sure that we feel safe and there's justice here in Bell Gardens. So thank you.
Thank you. So I'll just say a couple of words. I want to just thank Detective Sergeant Ed Roberts for helping me put this together. I think he did a phenomenal job. And then, really, the men and women of the Bell Gardens Police Department for, coming in every day and really just providing the best professional customer service that we could provide to our residents. And this is just an example that, we believe in the partnership and collaborating with them, because your department is only as good as the commitment that we have in the partnership with the community and with you guys. Thank you for your support.
All right. Thank you so much. Do we need a motion for this? All right. Can we get a motion to receive and file, please?
I move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman De Leon Sanchez and a second by Councilwoman Guillen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Item passes. All right, moving along to council member comments. We'll start off with Councilmember Barcena.
I just want to say thank you, as always, to staff and my colleagues for all the work that you do for looking out for our communities. And I want to encourage people to invite some good people to the council meetings, please, because I think yeah, it's just a lot. With national politics happening right now, I kind of wish I could hear more positive comments here in my home of Bell Gardens. So invite some people over, someone to do public comment. I just want to say I'm happy that you guys are here, the council's here. I feel like I kind of know you guys enough, and I know that none of you are racist. I know that none of you are sexist. I know that none of you are gonna salute Hitler here while you're on the dais. We have that happening in national politics. This is the era that we live in, and I'm just happy to have a council that loves their community. You guys are proud of your roots, and yeah, let's think creatively so that we can make an impact in our community. Let's think outside the box so that we can motivate people to be civically engaged, because sometimes it is depressing to hear some of these comments that end up here at our meetings, full of hatred, full of negativity. I know that we can do better, so I'm going to do my homework and see what I can do to continue to increase civic engagement, but let's make that a goal for all of us. I feel like it will be very rewarding. But thank you for all that you do. Thank you to staff too.
Thank you for that. Councilwoman Guillen.
So I reiterate as well as Councilmember Barcena said, civic engagement it should grow. I mean, it is kind of sad to see that there's, besides our staff, nobody here. I know there's people behind screens, but it'd be beautiful to see faces here. I also want to say thank you again to Liz and Bernie for all their hard work. We had the pool walkthrough last week. It was beautiful to see all of my current council members and former their labor into fruition, all their initiatives. So thank you. I look forward to continue working on that. As well as Chief, thank you for all the work that you do for this presentation in particular, for being not just right now, but always somebody that we can reach out to for, the DUIs that we have. The men in the back, thank you as well for all the work that you do that people may not see, but I know you guys work tirelessly for our community. And yeah, may God bless you. I know our community is hurting right now for so many reasons. So I just ask that we pray together, in the silence of our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councilwoman De Leon Sanchez.
I do want to thank the staff as well for all the hard work and dedication that you guys do every day to make sure that our city gets what they need. We may not always get everything we want, but we definitely get what we need here in our city. So I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank our resident audience member who makes it at almost every council meeting. So I do want to acknowledge your presence here because I know you come to our council meetings, and I wish that more people were more civically engaged like you are. So
public comment.
Thank you to my colleagues. I know that we all have a civic responsibility, especially in these trying times. And I think we just need to make sure that we're always honest and respectful with one another and with our community during these challenging times. So thank you so much to be in the presence of you guys up here and having that shared responsibility.
Thank you for that. Mayor Pro Tem de la Rosa.
Thank you to staff and our police department for keeping the momentum, moving forward. We've seen the great development at the pool in the past week, and even today, it shows with the Energy Action Award as well. It's great. It's great to see Bell Gardens move in this positive direction, and yeah, I just want to thank you all from the depth of my heart. Thank you so much.
Briefly for Mike.
Mayor?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And to Chief Camacho, please let me know how many push-ups I owe you. I'll do them right after the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for a great council meeting. I'm glad that this one didn't go for the full 10 o'clock, 9:30. So I appreciate City Manager for all the work that he is doing and all the team that he's assembled. Really incredible work. And I'm so glad that we have a very well working environment amongst here on the council, that we're all civil, we're all respectful, that we treat our staff with respect, and we appreciate them. Ultimately, I mean, like I said, you know, we have staff members here that spend more time in this city than they do in their own family, right? And I think, you know, we don't have to go so far. Mike, I mean, you're a perfect example, and we just appreciate all the work that you do consistently, going above and beyond, right? One of the things I want to mention, I've taken it upon myself, you know, during working hours, you know, whether that be, I know we're Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, usually the staff aren't here physically in the office unless they're working on other tasks, right? With the exception of some departments, right? And our police department's on 24/7, 365. And I remember there was a time during the holiday season where I sent out emails, or I was reaching out to staff, and it was really a reflection. And I just want to say that at the same time, I want you to also take care of yourselves, and also you know, enjoy times with your own family. And the work here in Bell Gardens, we're here, we're trying to keep it together. But I want you to know that as far as here on the council, always know that you have our support. You know, not just today, tomorrow, but for the future endeavors. And the work is shown with the amount of progress that our city has made. In every single event that I can think of within the last, now this is my 5th year being on this council, every year just continually tops the last. So just want to say thank you to all of you. And thank you to the council for a great working relationship. Thank you to legal as well, the amount of work that legal has done in making sure that we're following all the proper protocols and policies and procedures, and we're getting everything is going right. So just again, you see all the stuff that's happening nationally, statewide. We don't have to go so far in other cities nearby, right? And I'm just so happy that when I come to Bell Gardens, when I come to this city, when I Google Bell Gardens, we're usually, for the most part, always on the positive, in the positive light, which always hasn't been that way. So let's continue going in that momentum. And again, always know that you have our support here as a city council. So with that said, thank you so much, everybody. If there's no objection by the members of the city council, I go ahead and adjourn the city council at 7:56 p.m. Thank you.